So this was, I go very quickly. We worked with Alex Bonin, who is sitting back there, for a couple of years trying not only to evaluate the place, but to help look at the information they got, help think through the processes, and help them set up the agency. We were not there like in an auditing mode or an evaluation mode, but in a constructive mode. And I made that clear early on because we did have a vested interest in making this work. And I want to be very transparent on that. Sometimes we evaluate things because they ask us to evaluate it. Sometimes we work to make things better. And I want to be transparent about that because we did have a vested interest to make it work. And the bottom line was in this report in September, where we clearly show that the PD office have met a lot of standards in terms of quality, produces better defense outcomes. It has made available a lot of training, mentoring, and advice that was not available in Harris County, and I have provided Harris County with the type of presence that led to the prior conversation that you had with Jeff Blackburn about the Innocent Project and the fact that having that office there now can fulfill that role. So there's a bunch of intangibles that the office has provided, and we try to document that. First, and one of the foremost signs of a good indigent defense system is that the people making the defense have to have some independence. And clearly the office was set up for that purpose, and they have their own public defender board that have convened on a regular basis, have provided the type of support, and here's the timeline on when the office started and became fully operational. One of the best decisions they made was to hire Alex Bonin, and I said that now I don't need to suck up to you, so it must be true now. So, but Alex was a public defender with the federal system, and honestly, knowing Harris County senator, like we know the politics in that place, the right temperament to work with 40-some judges, the right temperament to work with the district attorney's office and all the other components. So the first decision that these people make was one of the most critical decisions, and they made a good one. This gives you a sense of the structure of the office: 37 lawyers, $8.1 million, different divisions dealing with mental health, where they represent the mental health cases that are misdemeanor cases, what we call frequent flyer. And you know, Judge Keller, you know a lot about mental health now, working with us in our board, how we try to deal with that population and make sure they're not in the system, and they represent those type of cases. And I'm going to show you later how a great proportion of those cases get dismissed when they get the representation that Alex Bonin's office provide. Felony for felony cases, appellate division that is handling most of the appellate cases now for Harris County, except the ones that have a conflict of interest, juvenile division, and then the administration of the office. When we look at this over time and work with them, you have certain key variables that make the office reach high standards. One is getting the office standards in terms of personnel evaluations and who you hire, and the requirement for hiring people to be representative of the best practices in this field. Training and following the guidelines that are part of our state bar's performance guidelines. Salary is a big one, and if you see this around the country, a big complaint is that the salaries of the public defenders are not comparable to the salaries of the district attorney's office. But in Harris County, they have made those very comparable. Even Alice's office kind of has like a bathroom, which is comparable to the DA's office in the same building. And that, you know, when I first saw that, that sounds like a minor sin, but it's not. It is really not, because you can tell that there was the commitment to give him good office space and kind of have the same parity. And very important, a case management system. that allows them to keep track on their cases and their workload. And thanks to that case management system, and a lot of our work was to work with Bunning to improve that case management system and the information that is captured there, thanks to that, they have the ability to track the time that they spend on cases. We have the ability to work on a caseload system, a suggestion that we make towards the end of the project to manage that. You're very familiar with this. These are the annual caseload standards that were set up in the 1970s, how many cases at any point in time a lawyer should have, no more than 150 felony cases, and so forth. You see it there. This standard is open to debate, and part of the other work that we're doing with the Commission on the so-called caseload management study is to try to get a better handle on what is the right number of cases for a lawyer to have so they're not overwhelmed, and when they're overwhelmed, like a lot of the defense lawyers will tell you, they cut corners. They will not admit that because it's unethical to admit that, but they will cut corners and not do all the work that they're supposed to do. And this is classic of Harris County. What these figures show is the number of cases in Harris County, the number of attorneys in Harris County that have more than 150 cases at any point in time. That's 45% of the assigned counsel in Harris County have more than that standard, and that is based on the information that is collected by the Commission, and we do not know how many of those lawyers have private cases or how many of those lawyers have cases in other counties. If you assume that they do, then you have a high proportion of cases that are being represented by lawyers that have such a caseload that is questionable. It's a fair question to ask if they have the right time to represent that. And the report will show you the cost. I don't have it here, but the cost of those cases that we pay in Harris County, $85 for a misdemeanor case, representing a misdemeanor case, and $480, I think, for a felony case. When I first saw that, and Knox Fitzpatrick was here, and I asked him, will you take a DWI case for $85? And he just cracked laughing like he'd been drinking all night. And the answer is no. And there is a reason for it. It's because you cannot do much for $85. That's what a good meal would cost you down in the corner over there in Perry's or whatever.
Tony, what are the DA's attorneys' case loads running?
I don't know.
But wouldn't that be, I mean, that is one.